Welcome to 13 minutes of news in 13 minutes or less. Okay, so this week we had Cody and Autumn on the round table from Alaska. Alaskan Gig and Guns is their channel. Check it out. They are a great couple up there doing gig work and shooting outside of Anchorage and their town, which is about an hour north of Anchorage. Watch the round table if you want to check it out. We also did our second live podcast with co-hosts ever after 2 years of no co-hosts. Guess yes, but no co-hosts, with Lou and Mary again. And now we start switching out the co-hosts a little bit. So it's going to be a different co-host every week. And but at the same time, I had so much fun with Lou and Mary that I asked them if once a month we could do a co-hosting thing, and they were all about it. So once a month, you're still going to see Lou, Mary, and I get together to do a collaboration because we have a lot of fun with them, and we just kind of jive right with each other. So it's been a lot of fun. But let's jump to the news. I also did an interview this week, and if you guys missed it, I do recommend you go back and watch it. For those of you who have watched some of my other videos on independent contractors as they relate to AB5, or with Kim Cavan as it relates to New Jersey and the PRO Act, with Karen Anderson, Lisa Rothstein, Gail Gordon, Kim Cavan. I actually got a chance to sit down with Mike Hruby. And if you're not familiar with Mike, you should absolutely go watch the video that I dropped. Mike lives in Massachusetts and has had numerous roles, from Washington Post journalist to running his own businesses to working in Congress to all kinds of things. And he is on the side of the independent contractors. He is a very unique, easy path to deciding whether or not you want to be an independent contractor, leaving it up to the individuals. And it's definitely something worth hearing. I know that community very well, and the people and players in it. And I will say that Mike is very, very, very highly and well respected, and all of the people know him. And he's a very smart man. And we had a very good conversation about where everything is headed, and if we don't get something going, what it's looking like coming down the pipe. And even not full timeline, but an idea of timelines. So I would recommend to go watch that piece because it's too much for me to dive into. But yeah, we hit on like 4 different topics. The very first one that we hit on after we are just chatting for a little bit is Mike's bold idea and initiative. And it's actually, he's pushing for it on a federal level. So it's being considered on a federal level. So it's a very, very, very big deal. So I would recommend to go watch the interview I did with Mike Hruby, and it's called "Remaining an Independent Contractor in America," and you can find it on YouTube. Obviously, you're on YouTube. You can find it on the YouTube channel. You can also find it on UberLiftDrivers.com, which is obviously where I bring all the news here from, whether it came from somewhere else or us or whatever, or our view on it or whatever. But UberLiftDrivers.com, 5.5 years running, over 4,000 stories. You can find anything gig related. Again, guys, Rideshare Rodeo and UberLiftDrivers.com, not just rideshare. They are all gig economy jobs, delivery, secondary services like Shipped, last mile services like Curry and others. And we cover it all, okay? And then we also cover, legislation and things like that. But there is always different pieces coming out every week. It's not set in stone in one thing what this channel is or what this website is. So don't label it rideshare. Check it out. I think you guys are going to find tons of stuff you like. Even all you dashers, delivery people, there's tons up on this. So get on there and find stuff. But let's keep running through it. Do check out that Mike Hruby piece. It's very good. Okay, so here's a question I have for you guys. So, okay, both Uber and Lyft have a rating system and a tip system in place. Now, this is for rideshare, whether or not people are tipping. we all know how that goes through the app. However, I have talked to some people that said it has gotten a little better since the pandemic, the tipping through the app, not just cash tips or anything. So I'm just gonna read you a paragraph. I'm gonna pause. Let's think about it for a quick second, and then I'll read you what the study found. This was a very, very, very big study done nationwide. So many apps such as Uber and Lyft ask customers to both rate and tip the service professionals. Interestingly, although Uber and Lyft allow riders to both tip and rate the drivers on the platform, the design of each app is different. While Lyft asks riders to tip before they rate the drivers, Uber prompts riders to rate the drivers before tipping. How does the order of these two decisions affect each other? Meaning, here's my question. Which one do you think is better? Rating the driver and then tipping, which is what Uber does, or tipping and then rating the driver? And by that I mean, it's kind of a two-part. A, what gets you the best rating? And B, what's going to get you the best tip? Which of those orders? Now, the study just relates what I'm about to read for the follow-up on what they found on the study just relates to one specific answer of which way is better overall. But I wanted you to think about it as two parts. Which way do you get a better rating? And which way do you get a better tip? If the tip is first and then the rating, or if the rating's first and then the tip. So I think I've paused enough. You guys have let it sink in. Here's what the research found. The research team investigated whether, how, why, and when the order of rating and tipping affects both consumer behaviors. A survey in the study finds that consumers and service professionals intuitively believe that soliciting ratings first should lead to larger tipping amounts. However, counter to these intuitions, 7 studies provided evidence showing that ratings first actually decrease subsequent tips. The overall the overall finding of the study was that that tipping first led to better ratings, but it was done in like 35 spaces, and 7 of them came out the other way. So it's pretty overwhelmingly that's the way, but I'm just interested to know what you think. And if you guys wouldn't mind leaving it in the comments of this show, even if that's the only comment you leave, I'd like to know what you think. Which way do you think is the better way? Tip then rate, or rate then tip if you're a rideshare driver? Some of the other things going on, as you guys have probably heard, Lyft is cutting hiring. They're cutting all of their costs. They're selling off everything as they hit the lowest point of their stock value ever in history. Premiering in the 70s on the NASDAQ and now slipping down to 20% of their value and no upslope in sight. It's just all downhill. There's really nothing good coming down the pipe for Lyft. So they are now just kind of clearance sailing, it's almost like. So I don't know. Lyft is a very questionable company at this point on their future, and I'm not even sure what their database value is worth anymore. I mean, would Apple, would Motional, would Alphabet, would any of these other companies who might be coming into the rideshare space even be interested in what Lyft has for a database? Because as far as like assets, they don't have any. But I also want to tell you guys real quick about a story that happened. A guy here in Denver on September 13th, 2020, was run off the road by a hit and run driver. Okay, this is a Lyft driver, and he was hit and run off the road. The car flipped. The passenger in the car was taken to the hospital with catastrophic injuries to his throat, jaw, and spine. So what we discovered from this is that because of a legal loophole allowed rideshare companies to opt out of purchasing uninsured motorist insurance. So the passenger was stuck on the line to pay the entire hospital bill and all of his medical expenses. I find that very weird because, again, it's probably a terms of service thing, but wow. So if you're riding in a Lyft and the driver rolls the car 3 times, Lyft will not pay for your to be taken care of. So that makes your chances even weirder when you get into these cars. So this is something I'm going to be looking into more, because I don't think this needs to become a much bigger deal, because this needs to end, obviously, clearly. So New York City's all Tesla rideshare app was kind of having a rough time. It was having a rough start in New York City. Now they can't get enough Teslas in there, because they're doing Tesla Y rides, to even keep up with the demand for the app. I mean, people are loving it, and the price is actually lower than Uber and Lyft. I'm going to put all of these stories will be in the show notes, so check that out too, because this is an interesting read if you want to read about it. Okay, also, make sure that you guys, this is Memorial Day weekend, and every Memorial Day weekend, they kind of change the name sometimes. I didn't see that Lyft's doing one like they normally do, but since 2016, Uber has done one every year. This year, I can't remember if it was last year as well, but it's called Take a Ride on Us. What you do is you get 2 free up to $10 rides on Uber between, well, now that you're watching this, and Monday midnight. So you can, if you want to go out one night, you can take an Uber out and home, and you'll get $10. First $10 are free. So if it's a $9 ride, it's just going to be a free ride. $14 ride, you're going to pay $4 plus the tip. Don't forget to tip. But you just put in you go into your Uber passenger app and you put in the code Memorial 22. That's all you do. And the last thing I need to hit on, the Gig Worker Conference in St. Louis on July 30th, hosted by Pedro, Doordash, Santiago. And you can find that at 2022.gigworkerconference.com. RSVP, make sure you let Pedro know you're coming, and it's free to all, and it's going to be a good time. So check that out too. And that's 13 minutes of news in under 13 minutes. Have a good, peaceful day.